Okay, at this time, it's 5:30. I'll call the December 4th meeting of the Conservation Commission to order. Please be advised that all these proceedings are televised and recorded. Paul?
All public meetings and hearings heard by the Raynham Conservation Commission on Wednesday, December 4th, 2019 at 5:30 p.m. in the Raynham Veterans Memorial Town Hall. Non-open can meeting of 558 South Main Street, Raynham, Mass. Are relative to filings and joint hearings and/or meetings under Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, as amended, and the Town of Raynham Wetland Protection Bylaw.
All right, we're going to start with our general business tonight. Did everybody get a chance to read the minutes of November 20th?
Motion to accept. Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Bills. That's it.
Good evening.
All right, correspondence.
Mr. Chairman, I got some same program, Jean and Kathleen Rivera called.
Yep.
They need their paperwork in, they have completed the project. They were gonna come in tonight, but he's been sick, so I told her to hold off until after the holidays. They've got a nice presentation to give, but they need their papers, so they just need their signature. Not everybody's.
Anything on Zoom? That's it. All right. We'll leave site business until later. Did everybody get a chance to review the dates for, say, next year? Motion been made to accept. Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Let's go to informal. We have a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 269-0935, Meadow Drive, map 17, parcel 82, 82-1, 82-2, 84-A, 84-B, and 86, Douglas King Builders. This is the one that Nova Armstrong reviewed. The first one, the original one. This is just a cleanup of paperwork.
Correspondence with Nova Armstrong said it was all set.
Okay, motion to issue certificate of compliance, DEP file number 2690935, Meadow Drive, map 17, parcels 82, 82-1, 82-2, 84-A, 84-B, 86, Douglas King Builders.
Second.
Motion been seconded 3 times. All in favor?
Aye.
That's second and third and fourth.
Unanimous.
Move right along.
There's two on it.
Yep. Next on the agenda is certificate of compliance, DEP file number 269-0121, Meadow Drive, map 17, parcel 82-1, 82-2, Douglas King Builders.
Again, same thing with that, so.
This is cleanup paperwork.
And it's all set?
Yep.
Okay, motion to issue certificate of compliance, DEP files 2690921, Meadow Drive, map 17, parcel 82-1, 82-2, Douglas King.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. No keys. Next up is a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 269-0092, 1250 New State Highway, Raynham Athletic Club.
This is the racquetball club. It's a very older filing before Mr. Rose had, before her the owner that they are having. The project, it was supposed to be something different in the beginning. It was supposed to be a small, mini mall on the side, and it was never done. It was never completed.
Okay.
So we had reviewed it.
So it's just cleanup.
Yeah.
Okay. Motion to issue a certificate of compliance, DEP file number 2690092, 1250 New State Highway, Raynham Athletic Club.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Oh, good. Okay, we're going to go up to formal. We have a notice of intent for DEP file number 269-0991, Raynham Preserve East LLC, the Castanetti.
Thank you, Kevin.
But I can tell you something else. Let myself.
Yes.
In accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and some of the Raynham local bylaws, the Raynham Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, December 4, 2019, at 5:30 in the Don Levinson Meeting Room in the Raynham Veterans Memorial Town Hall, 558 South Main Street, Raynham, Mass, on a notice of intent filed by Lee Castanetti of Raynham Preservation Development Residential Subdivision that would impact bordering vegetated wetland. The property is owned by Charles E. Harris, trustee of Raynham Investment Realty TRS, and is located at the intersection of Bayberry Road and Rams Head Road, Raynham. Assessors map 9, lots 197-24, and map 10, lots 17-0, 26-1B, 26-2B, 23-3B, 26-4B, 26-5B, 26-6B, 26-7B, 26-8B, 26-9B, 26-10B, 26-11B, 26-128, 26-13B, 26-14B, 26-15B, 16B, 26-17B, 26-B, 27-1B, 27-2B, 27-3B, 27-4B, 27-5B, 27-6B, 27-7B, 27-8B, 27-9B, 27-10B, and 27-11B.
Times like this, I appreciate Paul.
Now, find them on the map.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Ed Watson from Prime Engineering, represent the applicant, Raynham Preserve East LLC. With me is Lee Castanetti, counsel for the applicant. We're laughing because we have a long list of lots here. If you actually go on the Raynham Assessor's website and take a look at what this property is, it was originally planned for, I think, a 30 lot subdivision, part of the original Bassett Knolls subdivision which is now known as the Raynham Preserve. Back then, that was all carved up, and this was an approved subdivision for the 30 lots. It had a loop road on it, and since then, times have changed, and there's new rules, there's new regs. So we've reapplied for a new project on the same property, adding on the Perry parcel next door. So those are all the parcels that you read aloud there. And this thick black outline is what I show as the grouping of all those parcels. Also, the other thing to note is the wetlands line that we show here. That was on the order of conditions for the overall project for Raynham Preserve also. And that order of conditions has been extended and most recently affirmed by the recent, we were in here maybe 6-8 weeks ago to permit a sewer crossing for this project. So that's the wetland line that you see there. So as far as what we're planning to do here is we have a 26-lot open space preservation design style residential neighborhood. It is the extension of Bayberry Road, as it said in the advertisement, and it was down to a dead end with one small cul-de-sac as well. So right up against Route 195. So part of what we need to do in open space residential design is basically identify areas that are least appropriate for development and most appropriate for conservation. So if you look at the figure here on the bottom, there's a dark green and area. That is the wetland resource area, it's BBW. The yellow shaded area is the 100-foot buffer zone, and that's the area that's jurisdictional to the commission. Further into the wetland area, you might see a blue line. That is actually the flood zone. And so what we've done is we've attempted to pull everything as far away from the wetland as possible. The other land that we thought would be good for conservation is to stay away from the highway, to keep the homes away from the highway as far as possible. So when we do that, we basically get a nice strip of land in the middle that is planned for development. And really the only few places that we need to go into regulated areas are for to accommodate drainage. Obviously, those are the lowest areas on the site, and water flowing downhill is where we need to access. So we're driving down the new road. If you look, there's a little bump out. That's for the mail the mail, Postmaster General doesn't want everybody to have individual mailboxes anymore. So they have a gang mailbox to accommodate that. And then if you look to the, which is the west, that's where one of the drainage pipes comes out. Then as we come along, all the lots, they don't have any, there's no houses within the buffer zone. I think it's important to mention that. And then there is one pipe that comes along, gets within the 100-foot buffer zone, and then we go to an open drainage style drainage system, which is a little bit better for conservation purposes as well. And then as we get to the end of the road, we're staying away from all the wetlands. So again, all the road, all the houses, and the majority of the yards are outside the buffer zone. And then the rest of the drainage is picked up by piping and brought to a detention basin, which does outlet onto the wetlands. So we try to pick the lowest spot on the site over there so that we can keep the detention basin as low as possible to reduce the amount of fill and impact on the site. So other things that are worth mentioning is this project before us, the 30 lot, provided no open space, but it abuts about 198 contiguous acres of open space. And that is due to the Raynham Reserve neighborhood, Whippoorwill, and is it Deer Hollow, I think, off of Pine Street. So when you add those all up, it's close to 200 acres. So when we put this project, this goes forward, it would add an additional 23.8 acres of open space, 19.5 of which is upland. So it's not just the junk, as far as undevelopable land that we can't use, so we're going to give it away to open space. It's some actual good quality land that gets preserved in open space. And I think it's worth mentioning, I'm actually a resident of the town. In this area over here, having that great big contiguous open space, I think is great for the residents of the area. We have a couple small little open space areas like Raynham State Forest. I'm going in there, so wait, this is the state forest? It's like 3 acres, yeah. So here we have a good area that can be used if the residents so desire. And I believe it's the intent of the applicant to give that land or to deed it over to the Raynham Conservation Commission, is that right?
We discussed that.
Yeah. So all that land will go over to the town as well. So where we are in the process, we have filed with the planning board. There was some issues we needed to deal with, and it was relatively complex as far as mostly land ownership and some of the history and everything. So we've been taking our time through that process to get to a point where we're happy with the way that it all lays out. The number of lots, I think we were actually approved for 2 more lots, but we reduced it to 26 lots just to make a better project. The project has been reviewed by Ditch Engineering for both compliance with zoning regulations, the special permit, and for drainage, including the 10 stormwater standards put forth by DEP. And that's all been signed off by Ditch. And 2 weeks ago, I think at the last planning board meeting, they did vote to close the hearing and approve the plans we should see here. So, not to say that the commission can't make any comments or take any input or anything else like that. If there's any major changes, we have to go back to the planning board to make sure that they're approved in their plan set. So, if anybody has any questions as far as what the project is, I'd be happy to answer them or where we are in the process.
So you've already closed the hearing at planning?
It has been, yes.
Mr. Chairman, has it been 30 days? Because we did receive some stuff from Natural Heritage, which apparently they're still doing a review.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you. This project is also, one of the other things we're in review is natural heritage. So both this project and Raynham Reserve is under the jurisdiction of MISA, Massachusetts Endangered Species Act, the box turtle. And in order to get going, they submitted the full design plans for both sides, the old 30-lot subdivision and the Raynham Reserve subdivision. And they were required to create a habitat management permit, which was specifically written for the turtles. And that's recorded on the registry, and there's a whole litany of things that we were required to do for that. We did receive back from the Natural Heritage Rebecca, and she had basically 3 or 4 things that we have to do before we can move ahead. So it's basically built into their wildlife management permit that we need to basically prove that we filed the management permit with the registry. We've deeded over or basically created the instrument that when they sell lots can get referred to that this open space is protected and has turtle habitat on it. And I think there's an additional fee that needs to be paid to the state as the final form of mitigation. And on that plan too, there was not like I mentioned before, the additional 24 acres was not in that original plan. But we basically said we would hold to the same, additional mitigation of paying the fee and everything else. So that hasn't happened yet because there's a process that you have to go through to deliver the money to the right land trust bank, get receipt from that, and bring it over to Natural Heritage. But those are the only things that we're waiting for.
But about one of the statutory interests of the Wetlands Protection Act, one of the determinations the Commission has to make is that the project complies and protects wildlife habitat, which it cannot really, it's not suited to make that determination until they receive that decision from Natural Heritage. So it will be prudent to keep the meeting open until we get a final document from Natural Heritage.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And I would expect that to be done. I don't know if we made the payment yet, but that should be done in the coming weeks. So for the next meeting, that should be squared.
And then the other question I have, you did not talk about the riverfront.
So the riverfront, the river actually ends off the page in the Bassett Brook.
Really?
So when you offset that 200 feet, it doesn't come onto the page here.
Okay, so we want to make a note on the plan that stipulates that you review the riverfront, and this is why it's not applicable, that it's beyond the project area. Because that way, if anybody asks, how come, they don't have the main person that may be interested, not that you have a bunch of people here, but that ever if it comes up. But remember, there was a lady that used to come out that talk about, we're not doing exactly. So that's one of those things that we want to make sure that the commission recognizes and that you can demonstrate it that the riverfront is outside of the project.
Yeah, I don't have the overall plan with me, but those resource areas are shown on the overall plan that was approved part of the original order.
Okay.
So I took that data and put it on here, and it's not visible on the plans.
Hey, do we have any paperwork correspondence from Mitch Engineering from the reviews?
So we can request that from the planning. The under copy.
And that's what I'm a little confused about here. Normally, we get something from the planning board that gives detail, like we have the detention basin here that's within our jurisdiction. We have a couple of lots up here.
There are 3 lots.
That are within our jurisdiction. I'm still not happy with the sewer line going through the wetlands when I believe it could go down Bayberry. I'm just surprised we never got anything from planning regarding this. I mean, I'd like to hear what their comments were about the detention basin, why it was designed like that and put in that area. Could have been made longer and narrower to stay out of that area? I do have a couple of questions for Mitch on it. That's my,
What's the drainage area of the north outfall? Why didn't you propose
This
folding
area.
basin for that?
So what we did is a high point right here. So it only comes up to this spot right here, and there wasn't enough elevation to bring that all the way down. The original design, which before I presented it, we had planned on having an additional detention basin here. But when we actually ran the calcs, this detention basin, the way we have this designed and of the size we have it and the elevation, we were able to do such a good job reducing the rate of flow from this one that we didn't need to detain here in this small area. So what we're planning here is actually a storm scepter to make sure that the water quality is taken care of. The actual rate of flow, we don't need to reduce because the overall has been reduced by so much. And we're not like 1 CFS less. We have a good size reduction for the site.
anyone else have any questions, comments, concerns?
So this is an LOI for the entire project.
It's for the project. What we would do is we would come back for any work that's in the jurisdictional area for the lots.
Right. Lot 99.
Yeah, usually that's what.
So I would, you would expect to see three separate
Right.
LOIs.
Did that on
Okay.
did that on something walk, what was that called?
So,
River walk.
Yeah, only because, we show this house here, but it could be a different style house and whatnot. I will also say that the planning board, they like the way that this plan is, and if we have drastic changes from the elevations of the houses or anything like that, that they'd ask us to come back and have that reviewed. None of the grading is really in the jurisdictional areas of the lots. The only spot of that lot is maybe a little bit of tree clearing to give a little bit of room for the yard, but there's no grading planned in any of the jurisdictional areas for the lots. And then just
So you have tree removal, but you don't have grading.
well, we're not.
You get one without the other.
Right, well, yeah, we do have significant grading, like where the road is, where we need to elevate some of the houses. So none of that is going where the tree, in the jurisdictional area. So if you take out the trees and basically create a lawn for that. And just to be responsible with the comment about the detention basin, again, this is the lowest spot here, closer to the wetlands. So if we can access that with our outfall, then we can keep our detention basin lower, and then our roads are then lower, and our houses are then lower, so we can keep the limit of site work smaller.
But I'm assuming by your dotted line there, that that's your 25-foot no-touch?
It is, yes.
Okay, well, just by the size of this picture here, your outflow is sitting on top of or in the 25-foot no-touch, never mind the distance between the river and that.
So this blue line is the flood zone. It's not.
Oh, flood
it's
zone,
not-
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I thought it was Dan Walbrook.
No, that's further, it's the Bassett, it's further down. I did try and get as close as I could to that 25-foot no disturb zone, again, to try and get the elevation as low as possible.
Oh, and you said you're
right on
judging from this picture, you're either in it or on it.
Well, I think, based on what Mr. Chairman's saying, I do think you probably could elongate the basin in a, which is sort of in the northwesterly, southeasterly extension, and if you did that, that'll pull the basin and it's our fault, a little bit further away from them.
Thank you. So just want to look at the grades. They're posted on here, but they're actually off. They're pretty good on the plan. So by coming up into this area on this side over here, we still go up 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, we're going up in elevation. So for every foot I go up, then I have to go another 3 feet out to accommodate that. So keeping it down here, there's a valley up in here, and then you get down lower over here. So I truly feel that having the detention basin designed like this towards the wetland creates less of an impact overall to the site.
All right, Mr. Chairman. I just got 2 quick questions. The outflows in the basin, who maintains those after the project's done?
Let's go to the town. Yeah, so this parcel is actually a separate parcel that is still considered an open space parcel, but we have access road through here that the DPW can actually come in and clean that out. And he requested that we provide a storm scepter up on top near the cul-de-sac so that he can come up and maintain any grit removal and everything right from the road and from up here without having to go down into the basin and clean out the forebay. But even if he wanted to, he could still come down and clean up the forebay.
The only question I have is growth over the years. I know we have asked for some projects that we build into the NOI before we close the hearing, a maintenance plan that will carry on once the project is done.
Yeah.
So it'll last in perpetuity. We have had projects in the last couple of years where somebody's going in there to try to clean a basin and now they're actually in a violation.
So 2 things with that. The new regulations actually, the newer stormwater regulations require an operation and maintenance plan that was included, which includes maintaining this and both outfalls. And the newer update to the Wetlands Protection Act actually said that if you create a stormwater BMP with an order of conditions, that you can actually go in here and maintain it, and it's not considered a violation. In the past, you're right, and they have a date for that. So if it was in the past, like before
2008.
Yeah, 2008. All these detention basins are, if you have a record of the order of conditions, now the wetland scientist is going to say that's a wetland.
And that was the issue that we're running in, and I think most of the projects that we've had come across us were previous to 2008. That's why I wanted to make sure we weren't going to hit a hurdle in the future.
Right. No, that's smart, and that's been updated kind of through the regulatory process. So
Right. And the maintenance side of it makes total sense, you know, to the common person. But when you look at it on paper, it's like, well, is this legal or not? Like,
Right.
So I just want to make sure we're covering all our bases.
And they said the DPW is going to be responsible for
Right.
maintenance. Yeah.
Be castigated.
So that means that road was all designed to some rules and regulation standards?
Correct. With certain waivers. But the primary construction standards, depth of sub-base, pavement, whatnot, all curving, whatever, all meet the town's specifications and design standards.
yeah, the goal is to have this a town
So
accepted.
it's an accepted road.
And pursuant to, in response to your question about the maintenance, pursuant to the planning board's regulations, the drainage facilities are required to be isolated on a separate lot with access, not via an easement, but actually the strip of land, which I think is 20 feet wide, accessing to the roadway as part of that parcel, contiguous with the parcel, so that the DPW, when they accept the roads, they accept that parcel as part of that taking. And the DPW does then maintain the facilities.
And my only other question was regarding the open space. It's great that we're getting a lot of it here. Is the only access for the residents to access it through their own backyards?
No, so we have, all of these residents can go through the backyards, all these residents can go through the backyards, but there's a few that don't have open space on their backyards. So again, you can access the open space through the detention basin parcel. There's this road right here, you get into it. And then also the open space contacts the area of the mail. So you can access through here as well.
And in the opposite side of the street.
Yeah, and over here.
And the reason why I ask is because I know when we had the Raynham Preserve, we actually had them put in a couple trails on their end, so the residents and people in the town could access those from one cul-de-sac to the other. I don't know if, I don't know where the Raynham Preserve, I'm trying to get a visual picture on how it abuts to this. I just, is that further away? Which is why I'm asking
It's basically right here.
because this is such a great connecting parcel to the Raynham Preserve, as you said, Whippoorwill to its south. And I think we actually had them put in a dead-headed trail right on the property line of Whippoorwill in the hopes that someday maybe the town could get some more open space and continue a trail system all the way down to maybe Pine Street or even Forest Street. So I didn't know if there was any way that this even gets near that parcel on the Raynham Preserve side.
Yeah, so this parcel right here is the open space parcel for the Raynham Preserve. Yeah. And I might be able to flip through here, give me a moment. I don't think I got the overall graphic that shows where it is and how it situates, but I would envision that this, would be easy to put a trail here. We actually have the sewer. I don't know if you were part of that permitting process, but as the chairman indicated, we had trouble connecting. There is a sewer line here in Bayberry, but the elevation was too high. So we had a design that we did that came through that required about 10 feet of fill of the road to make it to gravity through here. And the sewer department wouldn't accept the number of grinder pumps that we would need to keep the load lower. So we permitted this sewer easement through here. So this is actually a pretty good path to connect. And it connects to the sewer easement that runs up to the open space on the.
I was just going to say, isn't the line for the Raynham Preserve coming from
Redhead.
Yeah.
Or Paddock. Yeah.
Paddock.
Yeah.
It comes to the end of
Yeah, come the end of Paddock.
Yes. So that's actually a pretty good trail system there to make that connection from here to there.
And the residents can get access to that without going to somebody's backyard.
Right now,
To which?
To the sewer.
Yeah, actually, if you were to get down the end of Paddock, where we had to pave a cul-de-sac for the sewer department, there's a trail similar to that sewer easement trail. There's a pathway, a fairly significant pathway, where that sewer line that services the Raynham Preserve subdivision brings it all the way out to that sewer pump station at the end of Paddock. And you could park your car at the end of Paddock on that cul-de-sac, and you could walk down that path. And then if you go behind, you go right up the path. The detention basin A is at the end of that cul-de-sac in Raynham Preserve, and that trail system either ends or starts, whichever way you want to look at it, right there. So you could walk from Paddock and come all the way through and come right up and come right through the entire. So you could do the same thing here by walking down that same path that would bring you right down to that same point on Paddock and come back around and go all the way up and right back through into the trail system again.
Now, will that be mowed by the sewer department? Or whether
Yes.
it's have access to it? And where does it come out on the new road here. It's not gonna come on somebody's backyard, is it?
It does go in between these two lots right here, but you can access from either side of this detention basin.
So we could redirect the trail away from that. We could intercept it here, or anywhere, along here, and bring it just along here.
Just blaze a trail and sign.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning that the conservation management permit we have with Natural Heritage or the state allows for walking trails and things like that. And so does the act, the Wetland Protection Act, footpath.
So that would be my only recommendation is to get some path access to the residents, not just the residents of the new development, but anybody in town that wants to park on a cul-de-sac and walk through without them actually coming out into the new development into somebody's backyard. I know, I like the walking paths, but I wouldn't want somebody showing up in my backyard.
Yeah.
When I'm out having a barbecue or
And I think, as I said, I think that's pretty easy to accomplish by, intercepting this and bringing it around there to the outside of that mailbox, which would be near the entry. And actually, there is a remaining, the old cul-de-sac at the end of Bayberry will still be there. So they could either park there, or they could pull in and park. We could even create spaces right in here.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
That'd be my recommendation, if I had to say. If you guys are willing to listen.
Look at conditions.
Yeah, sure, of course.
That's something we can add to the order conditions.
Anything else? Anybody in the audience? Nope. Zoning.
We're gonna continue, we have to continue.
Yeah, because we have.
So January 15 is the next available date for the litigation.
Yeah.
So hopefully by then you will have the.
Yeah, we will. Well, actually, two of the items are really administrative formalities. Two of them relate to the recording of the CMP and the recording of the Declaration of Restriction, both of which were recorded, but our predecessor wasn't particularly good at that kind of administrative stuff, and he never notified them. We've actually given it to them verbally just the end of the week last week, and then they asked us to just follow it up. But they have all been recorded, so they just asked us to follow up with the actual proof of the.
That's so we have our own
We have
paperwork
that
clean up.
So,
And then
yeah.
we can request that in the meantime, we'll talk to Maureen and get the information from the nation.
All right. Anything else?
No, this board will request a continuance to the
Motion?
One of the items that was the fourth item, aside from the donation, which is in the works, was a adjunct to conversations that we've had previously relating to what you were talking about, Kevin, about the dead end of the trail that hopefully someday we had agreed we would do in conjunction with you agreeing to take title to that open space parcel, and they had just asked to be updated on what was where that stood, the status of that. I think they had asked to speak to whoever. I don't know if you want to designate Azu or you, Dave, or whomever. But they were just asking for.
We'll discuss that, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that this parcel or the other?
For the overall.
Well, it's for the they're both intertwined,
Okay, yeah.
so it was all done under.
It's like three, if I may, there's
Yeah.
like three separate entities that when we did all this project, there was
Yes.
going to be, pardon me if I'm using the wrong thing, donated land or deeded land to conservation, I guess that's a better way to say it.
Yeah.
For parcel A, parcel B, and hopefully this new parcel C, we'll call it.
Yeah.
That they were all going to connect and be able to be one big open space area. And I believe Natural Heritage is just following up
That's correct.
on where we're at with the others before they go forward with permission for this. Am I saying it right?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. I think they were basically just seeking confirmation that was, that was consistent with what your understanding was.
I
We were still
will-
on board with that. That's.
I'll also say that, we're only part-time here.
Yeah.
Zoo's part-time.
Right.
A lot of times, we don't have the resources to
Yeah.
follow up on making sure that these are taking place.
Yeah.
And that's a small shortcoming here, but it has nothing to do with you. But hopefully we can get together and get it finalized and all
Sure.
done once and for all.
They were okay with that.
Yeah.
They just wanted to be informed.
Yeah,
where-
no, like I said, this has been, I've been here like 20 years now, and we have certain things outstanding like this that we just never seem to get back to because our plate keeps getting full again.
Yeah.
So, all right,
Go to something to bring in another direction.
yeah. All right, so they have a
Mr.
request for
Chairman, if
continuance?
somebody wants to shoot me an email or something,
Okay.
any of the information,
Yeah.
and I turn around and forward to everybody else
Okay.
too.
Yeah, they would forward the meeting.
Yeah, I'll
And
forward
I
the
like
email.
that section.
Okay. They've asked a continuance to January 15th,
I'll make a motion that
2020.
so 150.
2020.
20, okay.
Right.
I'll make a motion to continue the notice of intent for DEP file number 269-0991, Raynham Preserve East LLC, Lee Castanet.
Second.
Did I get that right?
Got it.
Motion been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
It's catch near.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Do you want to draw our steps?
I'm gonna go off the trail.
Part of my big master plan, all the way to Morris Street eventually.
You were the master.
You're close. It's getting there. It's pretty close.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's getting closer and
It might
closer.
take me 20 years in this committee, but,
All right, thank you.
Thanks again. Have a great Christmas.
You too.
Thank you very much. Take care.
All right, next on the agenda is an issuance of order of conditions for DEP file 269-0990, 61 Richmond Street, map 14, parcel 65, Ashley and Brent DeLongchamps. If you all remember, this is an outstanding order of conditions we had. They sold the property. They had some last minute things to fix up, which I ended up going by the house the next day. They were done. So we need a motion to issue.
Motion issued. Order of conditions, DEP file number 269-0990, 61 Richmond Street, map 14, parcel 65, Ashley and Brent DeLongchamps.
Second.
Motion been made, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous. They were going to do that. Hope they did. All right, next up is an issuance of determination for applicability, applicability for 1470 and 1510 New State Highway, map 16, parcel 2B.
That is the determination, Mr. Chairman, for the sewer connection and the abandonment of the
Right, okay,
on the
yep.
septic system.
Mr. Chairman, I did leave the sewer connection paperwork, but this is not what we should have, we're supposed to sign. So I'm going to make a copy of that, attach it to this, and they can bring it to the sewer department because all the conditions are in there.
Okay.
So we should have negative determination.
Right. Right.
Motion to issue a negative determination of applicability to 1470 and 1510 New State Highway, map 16, partial 2B.
Second.
Motion been made, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous.
You're all done?
This one that we're,
Those documents.
okay, yeah, that's
Okay.
good.
So
Okay.
they were already typed up and everything.
Right,
sent to-
so the only thing is that we had a flurry of requests that came in for certificate of compliance, But they all came in the last minute, not enough time to review them. And I was asked if they could be put on the agenda and have the commission vote on it, but to come in individually and sign them when they're ready. There's just too much of items to be reviewed, and it's not practical to review them, and then I don't think we want to be doing it. If you already had a hearing regarding the before, and then we just go and say, okay, you know what it is about, and then we draft them up. But this is not the case. We just received them today. So I don't believe it's proper to do it that way. You just have to. If you do it for one, you got to do it for the other.
Absolutely, Mr. Chairman, we've got to keep the same procedure going right along.
No, absolutely.
All of them.
And, you
How
know,
many are we talking?
we've been very good about
I've got
that.
5 brand new ones sitting there, and they all want done yesterday.
Yeah. And they all just came, so you can't really pick one up, you know.
No.
And once again, to my comment just a minute ago, you know, we're a part-time board, you're a part-time agent.
But I figured
You're a part-time conservation,
and I
so-
did explain to them that I'm going to discuss it, and but I don't think it's a proper way to go.
No, they need to be, you know, it's due time, reviewed, it
Exactly.
takes time.
Because a lot of times, some of these certificate compliances come in, they're not complete.
And they don't have the ASBILs, they don't have the fee.
So we're right back to where,
Yeah.
yeah, so I have no problem with that.
Ready for a motion?
Just one more thing, site visits, anything, we have one this, we have an email for Riverwalk?
Riverwalk, yeah.
You just got that, yeah. Are you gonna try to handle that? or-
Yeah, because that's one of the owners, they've signed paperwork yet.
I think so. I think they have, but I'll have to double check on that
Okay, so I
one.
need to have that first.
Okay.
And then
I think it's been signed. It's just-
Just point of information, now that we've had all this snow that's sitting on top of the hay bales, is it practical to review them this time of year?
inspection. If they already have them installed,
Yeah.
but if they're installing them now, it will be suspect, because then you're not gonna get the stake in the ground.
Yeah. Okay.
I have one like that, you do it over there, and then all like a couple of years ago, and all the snow melted, the stakes went.
All right. If you need somebody to work with you, let me
Yeah.
know. One of us can go with you. Paul,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous.